again, and I am the Angry Cook. According to my wallet, anyway. We're going to make no-knead artisanal Mediterranean olive bread. I was introduced to olive bread by a neighbor several years ago. She got the alleged craft bread from one of the grocery stores, which we all know is just frozen shit they throw in the oven. And what she did is she takes the bread, slices it, quarter inch maybe, and then throws it in the broiler a little bit to toast up one side, and then puts a slice of Brie on it, puts it back in the oven and warms it up. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. So I think this is something I want to try. So we're going to use the no-knead version. Again, you saw the first one, the cheese one, and it's basically that simple. So we're going to try this one, and it's going to be that simple again. So anybody can make their own bread. So what are we going to need? He said. We are going to need 3 cups of bread flour. You want the bread flour. A lot of people say AP flour. Use the bread flour, higher gluten, better rise. AP flour will work. And we want yeasties. We want salt. We want thyme. Extra virgin olive oil. All the quantities will be below as usual. 12 ounces of cold tap water. You don't need to warm this up at all. It's got to be sitting overnight. Remember, 24 hours, so there's plenty of time to warm up. The zest of a lemon. I've already zested that. 12 ounces. 2.5 ounces of black olives, sliced. 2.5 ounces of Kalamata. Don't do what I did and buy the cheap stuff. Use the good stuff, please. And 2.5 ounces of regular green olives, pimento type, sliced. And we want all those guys sliced. So the Kalamatas you can do them both in 3 slices and be done with it. It's only been a few hours since I made the bread, and I'm going to inject this in here because it was kind of important. Not important to me, but maybe for you. If you notice at the end, this bread was very moist. I attribute that to the olives. If you don't like a crap load of olives, and that's what you're going to get, then cut the quantity of olives in half. Instead of 2.5 ounces, do 1.25 ounces. 1.25 ounces, which is 1.25 ounces. Anyway, make it a little more, not dense, but a little less wet. So for what that's worth, I just thought I'd throw that in here. Ta-ta. Be done with it. See it over there. You really don't need to have them separated. They're all going to the same place. But for TV. I've been watching an old chef, been in the business 50 years. Don't scrape your board with your knife. Why? You spend a lot of time trying to hone the edge on this knife, on your knives, and you keep it nice and sharp. You do this, if you looked under a microscope, all the knives edges would have microscopic burrs on them, one way or the other. That's how they make them sharp. That's how they keep sharp. You do this and scrape stuff off your board, you stand a chance of dulling your blade by getting rid of those microscopic burrs. Use a bench scraper. I've got one. Don't know why I haven't used it in the past. I have used it a little bit. But I'm going to start using a bench scraper as I remember it. So, let's get busy. going to use 3 cups of bread flour. I've been using unbleached wheat flour just because it was on sale. It gave me good results for everything I've been using it for pizza crust and the breads and things that I've been making. Don't go crazy with the measuring, just throw it in, throw it out. Just pack it down a little bit and, not pack it down, but level it out a little bit and you're done. You don't need to be insane with it. Unlike the finer versions of bread, making bread where you're kneading and all that kind of crap, this is very forgiving. Very forgiving in quantities and things. So, take advantage of it, huh? Because I get flour everywhere. Oh. 2. 3, and you're going to use a little bit more after we're done proofing tomorrow. This is a 2-day operation. 1 day of making it, rest 8 to 24 hours. I like 24 hours best because I think you get a really good rise, a really good proof. So that's my opinion. And opinions are, never mind, I'm not going to say that one. There has to be a limit somewhere as to where I go, isn't there? Let me look at my recipe to make sure I'm not screwing something up, would you please? 1½ teaspoons of salt. Again, you don't need to be crazy. I use kosher salt. It doesn't have any additives. Okay, freshly charged batteries, and it just went off again. I got to take a look at settings, but got to keep my eye on you. We had 1 teaspoon of salt, and the other half. Notice as I use stuff, I move it so I don't add it twice. Except for that, because I'm using it to hold my phone up. Shut up! Thank you. Teaspoon of thyme. If you got the time, I got the beer. Never mind. Wasn't that important. Quarter teaspoon of yeasting. You don't need to proof the yeast. Just throw in a quarter teaspoon. You throw it around the edge. There's a rumor about yeast mixing with salt and it kills the yeast, etc., etc. There's such a small quantity and it's in there for such a small amount of time by itself before it's mixed. It's crap, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to mix that guy up a little bit. Again, we're not going to go crazy. Anyway, teaspoon of olive oil. You can use regular olive oil if you want. I think extra virgin, you get that little extra olive kick. That's it for you. Oh, a knife turned with a blade sticking out. That's just an invitation for me to go and rip my hand off. Pour the water in. We're not doing fancy here, are we? I'm using this end because it's a little easier. Use this end and you're going to get all kinds of gloppy stuff. This is a very wet mix. Yes, I'm doing the wash at the same time. This is a very wet mix, so you know, we try to keep it as easy as possible. Combine. Straight down the sides. getting all the stuff off the bottom. And olives. 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 I want to mix the olives in. Incorporate as many of these bad boys as we can, because we are an olive fiend. I'm off balance, don't you think? Whoa! I don't actually know where this stops, so we'll review a couple of things. This is getting very annoying. We mixed in teaspoon of thyme, quarter teaspoon of yeast, teaspoon and a half of kosher salt, teaspoon of olive oil, extra virgin, 3 cups of flour, 2.5 ounces of black olives that we sliced, 2.5 ounces of green olives that we sliced, and 2.5 ounces of Kalamata that we sliced, and a whole lemon zested that we added. We stirred it all together. We scraped down the sides a little bit, covered it with plastic wrap, and we're going to let it sit for 24 hours. Tomorrow we're going to bake it and see what kind of nice little ditty we have for ourselves. In the meantime, I got to figure out why this camera keeps stopping. So, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Welcome back to The Angry Cook. It's the next day. Of course it's the next day. Otherwise you wouldn't be back, would you? Our bread dough has risen more than twice, I think. Risen a lot. What we're going to do now is degas it and kind of stir it around a little bit. And before our second rest, which is only going to be an hour, we have several things we need to do in that rest time, though. You like my fancy little bread pan? Cookie sheet, reusable or single-use cookie sheet, folded up to size, bread pan. So we're going to degas it and stir it, get all the goodies out, make sure we've gotten all the flour out. Punched in all the little olive goodies. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Now, we're going to let this do a second rise for about an hour. In that hour, what we want is, set that aside, we're going to, I was going to say heat up that, but there's really no necessity to heat that up because it's there's nothing to it. We're going to heat the oven up for an hour. Yes, an hour. When you do a preheat on an oven and you stick stuff in as soon as it says it's ready, the heat hasn't dissipated into the walls totally, and the ceiling, and the back, and the bottom. You still have a colder oven than what it says. And we want this oven at 425, and we want it to stay there for our cooking. So, one of the few things that's precise about this. So we're going to go 425. And we're going to rest for an hour. We're going to take that out, prep it for in here. After an hour, we're going to stick it in the oven for 30-35 minutes. We're going to be done. So we'll see you back in an hour. There we go. All right, been about an hour. Our dough's risen again a little bit. Not quite half, maybe a quarter. So we're going to turn it out onto our board, or our table, in which case means this. You know, little flour, oink. Let me get a spatula, which I should have had to begin with, and I didn't. Okay, out the board. And we're just going to put some flour on this and unstickify it a little bit, not much, because this is a floury mess, or a sticky mess. You're pretty much going to find out with no-knead bread, it's just going to be a sticky mess, and there's not a lot you can do about it. Just the way that it is, that you're not kneading it and all that kind of crap. So don't be afraid of the flour. As I said in the beginning, when I started this with the other one, this is very forgiving recipes. And except for the temperature, you really don't need to be exact about stuff. So we made our own little bread tray, bread pan out of this. Came with parchment paper. We're going to spray that a little bit. And we're going to put it in. We're going to put it on the parchment paper. What I found was, when I did this before, I try to do free form like this, and it kind of flattens out. So, you could try it, give it a shot if you really want to. Be prepared for a flat bread. Really a flat? Never mind. So, we're going to make this into a nice loaf, not a loaf shape, but a artisan bread shape. I don't know what the hell you call this. It's over here, so maybe you can see what the hell I'm doing. Huh? And we're going to plump it up a little bit. This will expand, I'm sure. It has in the past. So, just about perfect, I think. And we're going to pop it into our hot 425 oven. And here we go. Onto stove cam, which is now oven cam. And in 35 minutes. And we'll be back at 35 minutes and show you what goes on. Okay, we're just about at 35 minutes. We're going to take a quick look and see how our bread is. Looking through the window. It smells awesome. It looks awesome. I think we may need to brown it a little bit longer, but let's take a look. Love me, baby. Shut up. Thank you. Now to oven cam, and yes, we do need some more browning. Take a look at that. I think we're going to pop you in for another 5 minutes. Eek. Another 5 minutes, let's see how that works out. See you in a couple minutes. 5 minutes, and we're still not getting the browning, so I'm going to pull this down. I'm thinking maybe this might be shielding the bread. Turn it a little bit. Get some stuff on the top. See what happens. Another 5 minutes. All right, let's see how we browned up. I'm going to take that. The one hint probably with doing it this way is to make sure the sides are turned down and not so far up the side, maybe like this, about that high. So so you're exposing more of this to to the direct heat and you can get more browning. I think that's all that was. But can you hear that? Nice crust on it. We're going to let that cool down for a bit. And then, as the final part, I think I'm going to show you how we go about making this great little snack that I was showed. So, see you in a little bit.
So if you wanted it to be something other than end of month, then you as the room for age 26, you as the room, right, right.
This thing is loaded with olives.
No, they are data loss coverage. So if they turn
It's very soft.
15, they are termed November 15.
And a little bit chewy.
Only that age 26. Right.
This is made for like a nice soft cheese, not butter.
Right. Now.
But.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I got the two mooches sitting here, thinking they're going to get some of this.
You know, if that's a conversation, there's nothing noted here under termination that says it's
Try it.
Like that you guys want age 26 as of date of loss. So we can do it that way. We just want to make sure that it's documented that way because, like I said,
I'll see you later.
I would
Bon
have
appetit.
to high mark and say.
Alright, last part. As I said, I'm going to show you what I was going on about the little snacky for the olive bread. So, here's a bread knife. I'm going to cut this about 1/4 inch, that's more like 1/2 inch, but who's counting? And we have some Brie. Cut us with the wrong knife. Get off here. Cut that in half. I think I'll make this. That piece already cut too, so we'll do that. We shall see here. Take these two little lovelies and throw them in the broiler. Or as the Brits call it, the grill. I don't know why they call it the grill. That's what they call it. The stove top is a hob. Two countries separated by a common language. That's how it's said about English and American English. And there we are, slightly melted. Let me see what that looks like. There we go. Slightly melted and ready to go. And that's what I've been on about. See ya.